songs. Other artists' names on the label, other artists taking the bows on television, accepting the awards, doing the interviews.
I know this time what I'm feeling.
But somewhere behind every single one of them, in the arrangement, in the groove, in the melody itself, was the hand of earth, wind, and fire. They weren't just one of the greatest bands in history. They were quietly writing the soundtrack for the whole industry. And most of the world, they never knew. Number 10, Barry Manilow, Only in Chicago, 1980. I'm going to warn you right now. This list is going to go places you are not expecting.
Only in Chicago.
Barry Manilow, 1980. You know who Barry Manilow is. The man had 6 consecutive #1 albums, 40 top 40 hits.
But only in Chicago.
Mandy, Copacabana, I Write the Songs, adult contemporary radio in the palm of his hand. He was the soft pop king, and his audience knew exactly what they were getting. And then he asked Maurice White to come write with him. Stay with me on this. Maurice White, the same man leading the most cosmic, funky, genre-defying R&B band on the planet, sat down with Barry Manilow in a recording studio in Burbank, California. And the two of them wrote a song together. They called it Only in Chicago. It landed on the 1980 platinum album Barry, tucked as the B-side to I Made It Through the Rain. Now, it didn't chart as a standalone single, but it existed. That collaboration happened. And what that tells you is something important before we go any further. Here's what I keep coming back to.
But you can't go back, 'cause I went back to find out what
Maurice White and Manilow shared the same Columbia imprint, Arc Records. And more than that, they shared a deep belief in craft over category. Not what genre you're in. How do you build something that does exactly what it's supposed to do? That question has no genre. And in the professional songwriting world, people who understood that found each other. What this entry really tells you about Maurice White is that he wasn't writing from a style. He was just writing, full stop.
Only in Chicago.
A man who could deliver a cosmic funk anthem and a soft Chicago ballad in the same year for two completely different artists and leave something real in both.
Go back, 'cause I went back to find out what we did wrong. And
If you've ever respected a craftsman who could work in any material, wood, steel, stone, didn't matter. That's what Maurice White was doing here.
I went back, yes, I went back to find out.
The music was the material. The artist was the project. And he showed up ready for both. And that's where this list is just getting started.
Our Chicago, baby, you and
Number 9, The Tubes, Tip of My Tongue, 1983.
I can almost taste it. And
A rock band from San Francisco.
never been too cunning.
In 1983, The Tubes were riding high. Their album, The Completion Backward Principle, had broken them wide open commercially. Talk to y'all later. Don't want to wait anymore. And now they were back in the studio with producer David Foster working on Outside Inside. That same David Foster who was everywhere in the 80s. That same Foster who had been working deep inside Maurice White's creative orbit for years. The Tubes needed something funky, something a rock band wouldn't normally reach for, but absolutely should. Foster made a call. Maurice White came in, sat down with Michael Snyder, and they co-wrote a track. Then, and here's the part that gets me. Maurice White also sang some uncredited background. vocals on the finished recording. His voice is on a Tubes album, buried in the mix with nobody's name attached.
I'm no linguist, but I can tell you this.
The song was called Tip of My Tongue. It became the second single off Outside Inside. Climbed to number 52 on the Billboard Hot 100. Number 16 on the mainstream rock chart. A rock radio song with Maurice White's pen behind it.
I won't miss a chance.
Now, the Tubes are not an R&B act. They're not even adjacent to EWF's world on the surface. New wave, art rock, theatrical performance, San Francisco cool. And yet when David Foster needed a specific kind of movement in a song, that feel, that thing that happens when a groove has both precision and soul, he knew exactly who to call. Because it wasn't about genre, it was about touch. There is a way a Maurice White co-write moves. You can hear it if you know what you're listening for. And if you're someone who grew up keeping your record collection in strict piles, soul here, rock there, never the two shall meet. This one probably just knocked something loose. It should. Some of y'all are going to go pull up this song tonight. That's the right move. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's $1 coffee a month, and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, Barbra Streisand, Time Machine, 1984. By 1984, Streisand's Guilty album, the Barry Gibb collaboration, had become the biggest selling studio album of her career. She was looking for what came next, something that could live on MTV alongside the younger acts. Something modern without losing the gravity of who she was. She assembled 8 different producers for 8 different tracks. She called Kim Carnes, Jim Steinman, Richard Perry, and she called Maurice White. He drove to her house in Malibu to pitch the song. Just sat down with her and walked through it. The concept he brought was this: what would it mean to have a time machine? Not to change anything, not to go back and fix your mistakes, just to look back over your whole life and finally understand it, to see how the pieces connected. The theme being, he wrote in his memoir, that your life makes sense in the end. She loved it. She recorded Time Machine, which Maurice White co-wrote with Martin Page and Brian Fairweather for the Emotion album. That album went platinum in the United States. Now, Time Machine wasn't the radio single. It wasn't the MTV push. But here's what matters. Barbra Streisand, who had worked with Quincy Jones, Stephen Sondheim, Marvin Hamlish, the greatest producers and arrangers in American pop history, specifically chose Maurice White to be part of her creative process. Not as a session musician, as a writer, as someone who could hear what a song needed to mean. You know that feeling when you find out someone you deeply respected was also respected by people you deeply respected? Like 2 parts of your world that weren't supposed to connect suddenly do? That's what this entry is. And one more thing. The Martin Page, who sat in that Malibu living room co-writing Time Machine with Maurice White, he later co-wrote We Built This City with Starship. The songwriting world of the 1980s was a much smaller room than the radio made it sound. Number 7, Neil Diamond. Stand Up for Love, 1986.
They might say,
Here's the context.
I can feel the power.
Neil Diamond had been away from the pop conversation for a while. His label wanted him current, wanted him modern, wanted something that could get him back on the radio. Headed for the Future was the result. And when you look at the production roster for that album, your brain does a double take. Burt Bacharach produced 2 tracks. Stevie Wonder produced another. Bryan Adams and Jim Vallance wrote one. David Foster handled 2. And Maurice White, the leader of Earth, Wind and Fire, produced 3. For track 4, Stand Up for Love, Maurice White didn't just produce. He co-wrote it with keyboard genius Greg Fillinganes. He shaped the song from inside as a writer, not just a man in the booth. Here's what I need you to sit with for a second. Neil Diamond wrote Sweet Caroline. He wrote Cracklin' Rosie. He has one of the most celebrated and commercially successful songwriting careers in American pop music. And in 1986, he looked across the table at Maurice White and said, in effect, I need your ears. Help me find what this song needs to say. That's how craft actually works. It doesn't respect legacy. It doesn't care how many hits you've had at any given moment. The person who can hear what a song needs is the person who should help write it. And Maurice White heard exactly what Stand Up for Love needed. The album went gold. Burt Bacharach, Stevie Wonder, David Foster, and EWF all working on songs for Neil Diamond in the same year. In the same sessions, in the same room. That's an extraordinary thing to discover when you look at the credits carefully enough. I want to ask you something. How many of you have been in a room, in a meeting, on a project, anywhere, where you were clearly the most out of place person on the surface, but you knew you had what the room needed? That was Maurice White's entire outside career, every time. Number 6, Jennifer Holliday, I Am Love, 1983.
It's for all the times that I hid.
Before I say anything else, stop for a second and remember what Jennifer Holliday had just done. In 1982, she stood on a Broadway stage and sang And I Am Telling You I'm Not Going from Dreamgirls. People who were there still talk about it the way people talk about moments where time stopped. She won the Tony. She won the Grammy. The world had just met Jennifer Holliday. Now the question was, what comes next? Geffen Records gave that question to Maurice White. Produced her debut album, helped the world understand that what she did on that stage was just the beginning.
I am desperately to be understood.
Maurice White assembled his team. David Foster, who'd been in his orbit for years, and Allee Willis, the woman who had sat across from Maurice White the very first day they met, and in that one session, co-written September with him, together the three of them wrote I Am Love.
If I seem a little shy.
The song opens bare, piano, space, silence that knows what it's doing, then it builds, and then Jennifer Holliday erupts. New York Times critic Stephen Holden wrote that the song deliberately recalled her Dreamgirls arias. It was built for a voice that could make a stadium feel like a conversation between two people. I Am Love hit number 2 on the R&B chart, number 49 on the pop chart. Jennifer Holliday sang it the way Maurice White knew she would. He said so himself. She sang the hell out of it. Here's what this entry is really about. When someone comes off a performance that size, when the world has just been introduced to a talent that enormous, the instinct is usually to let them carry the album on their own. Just give her the stage. But Maurice White understood that even the greatest voice needs the right song. He co-wrote the first thing the world heard from her on a pop record, and he got it exactly right. And we're not done with Jennifer Holliday yet.
It's for all the times that I hid.
Number 5. Deniece Williams, Baby Baby My Love's All For You, 1977. I want to flag something right away. This entry isn't about Maurice White. It's about Verdine. Verdine White, Maurice's younger brother, the bass player. The one who played like he was channeling something from another dimension every single night on stage. The one with the energy that made people wonder what planet he was from. Verdine White co-wrote Baby Baby My Love's All For You with Robert Wright, and it became the lead single from Deniece Williams' second album, Songbird. Now, the Deniece Williams and Maurice White connection runs deep. She'd been a backup vocalist for Stevie Wonder. Maurice White discovered her talent, signed her to Kalimba Productions, and co-produced her debut with Charles Stepney. Free in 1976, her breakthrough, number 2 on the R&B chart. By the time Songbird came along, they were in full creative stride together. But the song that hit number 13 on the R&B chart and number 5 on the UK soul chart, the one with Verdine's own elastic bass line underneath Deniece's crystalline voice, was written by Verdine White, not Maurice. Here's what this entry does that none of the others quite do. It shows you that Earth, Wind & Fire was never just one man's vision. Maurice was the architect, yes, the visionary, the one everyone wrote about. But the creative blood of that band ran through every member. And when Verdine sat down to write something for a voice as precise and pure as Deniece Williams, what came out fit her the way a song is supposed to fit a voice, like it had always been there waiting. And here's the detail that seals it. The bass line you hear on Baby Baby My Love's All For You, that elastic, beautiful low end, that's Verdine playing his own song. The man wrote the part and then played it himself. Some of y'all grew up with Baby Baby in heavy rotation and never once connected it to that bass player who seemed to float above the ground every time EWF took a stage. Now you know. Number 4, The Emotions' Flowers, 1976. This is the beginning of a story that doesn't end until we reach number 1. 1976, Wanda, Jeanette, and Sheila, 3 sisters from Chicago who had developed their voices in their father's gospel group, the Heavenly Sunbeams, and then spent years at Stax Records. Now Stax was going, they needed a new home. Their manager connected them to Maurice White. And when Maurice White sat down with Wanda Hutchinson and she started singing him her originals, song after song, one after another, he recognized something immediately. He said later,
yes, it is.
Wanda in particular was a great songwriter, but Maurice White also brought his own material. He and Al McKay wrote the title track, Flowers. That song hits number 16 on the R&B chart. The Flowers album went gold, the Emotions' first charting album in years, and it launched what would become the most productive outside writing partnership Maurice White ever built beyond EWF itself. Here's what I didn't know until I looked this up carefully. Flowers, the melody, the arrangement, the feel of it fits the emotion, voices the way a tailor-made garment fits. Not because Maurice White was trying to show off what he could do, because he listened first. He heard what those three sisters had, that close harmony, gospel-rooted, absolutely disciplined thing, and then wrote something worthy of it. The song doesn't ask them to be anyone other than who they are. If you've ever heard a song and felt that the singer and the song were made for each other, that feeling has a name. It's what good writing actually looks like. It isn't about showcasing the writer.
Listen, this is the time.
It's about finding what someone else can do and building something worthy of it. Maurice White and Al McKay built the emotion something worthy. And then a year later, they came back and built them something that would change everything. Number 3, Ramsey Lewis, Sun Goddess feature, EWF 1975. And this is the one I need you to really hold. In 1966, a 24-year-old drummer from Memphis joined the Ramsey Lewis trio. His name was Maurice White. He stayed 3 years. He played on records. He toured. He absorbed everything Ramsey Lewis had to teach about composition, about feel, about what it means to command a room with music. Ramsey Lewis was his elder in this music, not family, but the kind of bond you build when someone helps shape who you're going to become. By 1974, Maurice White had built Earth, Wind & Fire into one of the most powerful bands in R&B. And one afternoon, sitting in a waiting room at his manager Bob Cavallo's office, a young songwriter named John Lind walked in strumming a guitar fragment. Maurice White heard something in it. "What is that?" he asked. He told Lynn to lay it down and get it to him. Over the next few months, the two of them shaped it into a song. Then Maurice White brought it to his former band leader. He brought Sun Goddess to Ramsey Lewis. And he brought Earth, Wind & Fire to perform on it alongside him. Sun's Goddess became the title track of a gold album that hit number 12 on the pop chart and number 1 on the R&B album chart. It was Ramsey Lewis's biggest success in years, and at the center of it, co-writing it, producing it, performing on it, was the man Ramsey Lewis had once mentored. The student wrote a number 1 R&B album for the teacher and then played on it himself. Here's what gets me about this one. Maurice White didn't leave Ramsey Lewis behind when he went on to build something bigger. He came back. In an industry where loyalty is the first thing to disappear the moment you stop needing it, Maurice White chose to return to where he came from and hand the man something real. And if you've ever had someone believe in you before you believe in yourself, if you know what that kind of debt feels like, You understand why? This is at number 3. Number 2, Jennifer Holliday, Change Is Gonna Come, 1983.
It's gonna come.
We're back with Jennifer Holliday. Same album, Feel My Soul, but an entirely different story from number 6.
Because we reap what we sow.
I Am Love had 3 writers, Maurice White, David Foster, Ali Willis, a room full of people, a collaboration between giants. Track 8 on that same album, Change Is Gonna Come. Maurice White wrote alone, no co-writers, no room full of names, just him. And then he chose that title.
It is time we all should love.
You already know what that name carries. Sam Cooke wrote A Change Is Gonna Come in 1963. He wrote it after being turned away from a whites-only hotel in Louisiana. He wrote it because he felt a nation at a breaking point, and he felt that music had an obligation to meet that moment. He recorded it knowing it might be the most important thing he'd ever made.
Realize that we're not free. The future man has got.
It was released 4 weeks after his death. It became one of the most sacred pieces of American music ever created. Maurice White did not write a cover. He wrote something original, his own words, his own music, and he gave it a title that placed his work in direct conversation with that tradition. That said, the work continues. Change is still necessary, and it is still worth singing about.
It's gonna come.
For Jennifer Holliday, a Black woman who had just stood on Broadway and demanded to be seen, to be felt, to be impossible to ignore, this was exactly the right song at exactly the right moment.
Because we reap what we sow.
Written by a man who understood deeply what it means to carry something larger than yourself inside of music. Here's what I want to leave you with before we get to number 1.
Yeah, someday I know it will.
The label pushed I Am Love. That's what got the airplay, the promo, the features.
It is time we all should love.
But Maurice White also quietly placed in the track list a solo write, no collaborators, no committee, like a note tucked inside an album for whoever was paying close enough attention. Some of you are going to listen to Feel My Soul tonight. You're going to find track 8. When you get there, sit with it.
Realize that we're not free. The future man has got.
Number 1, The Emotions, Best of My Love, 1977. Wanda, Jeanette, and Sheila, the same 3 sisters from the same Chicago living room. And Maurice White and Al McKay, back at the table together 1 year after Flash. Best of My Love entered the charts in the summer of 1977. It went to number 1 on the R&B chart. It went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Pop chart crossover, all of it. 5 non-consecutive weeks at the top. It won the Grammy Award for Best R&B Performance by a duo or group with vocals. It was the 3rd biggest pop single of the entire year. I have a memory with this song, a cookout, a Sunday afternoon, a slow drive somewhere with the windows down, a room in your family's house where someone put this on and everything shifted, for love has texture when it plays. You feel something before the first verse even arrives. It's that kind of song, the kind that lands in your body before it lands in your brain. Maurice White built that for someone else. He didn't record it with EWF. He handed it to 3 women from Chicago who could do something with it that nobody else in the world. Harmony, that joy in the voices, that gospel discipline underneath the pop surface. He wrote them, not the song, them. He gave them the best version of themselves on record. Here's what I think about most when I hear this entry. The song is called Best of My Love. It's about giving someone the best of what you have. And the story behind the song is about a man who gave his best work, a song that would win a Grammy, reach number 1 on 2 separate charts, and live in people's bodies for 50 years, to someone else so they could be the ones to